Welcome back. It's episode 25. I'm really excited to be here today to have a discussion about a topic that comes up really very often for me as a health coach with my clients, but also with a lot of people I just talk to, friends, acquaintances, whatever. And the topic, it's not so I want to say the topic is perfection and being a perfectionist. And you know how we all, not everybody, but a lot of us label ourselves as perfectionists. And I think that is giving us a really interesting excuse to beat ourselves up and to not make progress. And the reason this comes up, I was having a conversation with one of my newer clients a couple of days ago. And we were talking about where she's at and the progress she's made. And it's only been like a month and she is killing it. I mean, killing it. And it's fantastic and wonderful. And then she said something that was really interesting about she was going out kind of for a social time after work. And she called it, she was very anxious. She is having a lot of anxiety around going out. And because she's made progress, even though it's only been like 4 weeks, she didn't want to, start this downward spiral, which is her pattern that she's done before, where if she just even takes 1 minute off of what she's, quote, supposed to be doing, she just kind of throws the baby out with the bathwater and ends up in this downward spiral of just going back to everything that she was doing before, eating whatever she wanted, not moving, not paying attention to water, all that kind of stuff. And I heard the word, I had anxiety, right? And I went, oh, red flag. Come back to that. So we did come back to that. And I asked her to tell me more about that. And it got emotional. I've had a lot of emotional conversations with my clients lately, which makes complete sense because the work that we do is emotional. Food is emotional. And anxiety around food is really, really common. And so we really have to dig into that. And it was interesting to hear her talk about the anxiety that came up for her because she was concerned about not being perfect. Now, did she say it that way? No, she didn't have to say that. What she said was, I was anxious because I don't want to go into this spiral, like I said, right? This spiral of doing all the things that I used to do, which is what got me here, right? And we all have that. We all have that fear of going backwards, right? Because most of the time, and I've done the same things, we've been on this kind of diet roller coaster. Try this, try that, try this, try that. And I love how we all go, it works for a little while. Which in my mind, in what I do right now, is like, it didn't work because what we need to be doing is looking at changing our habits that into a way that works for our lifestyle and making a new lifestyle and creating this space and this person of who we are versus what we do and who we used to be. Right. So to have that fear of falling back into those patterns and those habits makes complete sense. Having that anxiety around those things makes complete sense because that's where we've been and that's what we've done. We've tried something, it's worked for 2 to 3 weeks, work in air quotes, right? It's worked for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we end up just falling back into our old patterns. There are a lot of reasons that happens. Number one, it could be that you're trying something that is never going to be sustainable, right? Think about those programs or those plans where you're on 800 calories a day, and that's not sustainable. Or you cut out complete, total food groups. That's not sustainable. Or you tell yourself, or they tell you, whoever they are, you can never have X, Y, or Z again. That's not sustainable. This is life, and life means things happen, and we have the cookies, and we have the cake, and we have, we have those things because this is life, and life happens. So to have anxiety or fear around falling back into old patterns is very common, makes sense. The other reason that those other times didn't work, possibly, is because there wasn't really someone there to walk beside you who experiences those feelings, who has had those experiences of falling backwards and jumping off the wagon and going back into previous habits that weren't healthy, and who can walk beside you to extend a hand and pick you back up and say, dust yourself off. It was one meal. We're going to get up and we're going to do what we were doing before. One meal isn't going to kill us, right? And dig into why we did that, right? Because sometimes there are good reasons why we did that. Sometimes there aren't good reasons and we just need to figure it out. So it makes sense, like this conversation that I was having makes sense. And I have this conversation a lot. We have that fear that, oh, I've tried this before and I just slid back. So when we were having this conversation and she said that, she was very anxious about going out to eat, we had some strategies that we talked through, et cetera, et cetera. But really the issue is, and that what we wanted to talk about today is that comes from a place of fear, like we talked about, and anxiety, and that manifests in perfectionism. Because what happens then is we get the thought, if I don't do this perfectly every single moment of the day, I don't eat all the exact foods I'm supposed to eat, I don't hit my macros, I don't get my movement in today, I don't get my steps, I don't drink all my water. If I don't do all those things and check every single box every single day, then I'm not going to be successful and I'm going to fall back and it's not going to work. And all of those fears start coming up. So what happens is every day we wake up a little bit anxious, a little bit stressed, because we have this pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to check all the boxes, to do all the right things all day long, no matter what the day brings, no matter what happens in life that day. The expectation is we do it perfectly. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you what that does. That's going to set us up for failure every single time. Perfectionism only leads to being imperfect and failing at no matter what it is. You will absolutely fail if you are trying to be perfect. And I'm going to tell you something you already know. No one's perfect. And I know that you say those things to other people all the time. You say it to your friends. You say it to your children. You say everybody that you love in your life. You have no expectation of them being perfect. And you let them know that their expectation of them being perfect is outrageous. However, when it comes to you, I guarantee you, in your head, you're like, I have to be perfect. And maybe you don't say those words. Maybe it sounds like this. Oh, shoot. Oh, I messed up again. Oh, I'm so dumb. Oh, how could I do that? Oh, I needed to do this. Oh, I should have. All of those phrases connect back to trying to be perfect. So here's what I told her. Just like I told you. If you're trying to be perfect, you will fail. We are not here trying to be perfect. We are here practicing. It's what we do. We practice because we can't be perfect. We can't plan for every little thing. We are practicing just like every professional athlete does. What do? They practice. They go into practice every day. They have practice every day. They're practicing for the game. They're practicing for their big event. They don't know what that big event is going to hold for them in that day. What they can do is they can practice for taking the correct steps. Practice, like I remember when I was in basketball in high school, man, did I practice dribbling. I wasn't a very good dribbler, honest to God. Or practicing 3-point shots, or, practicing the plays. They are constantly using the word practice because how you practice is how you play. What if we took that concept and used practice as our concept instead of perfection? What if we said, today, I'm going to get up and I'm going to practice Being a healthier version of myself. How do I practice being a healthier version of myself? Okay, well, when I get up, I drink my 8 or 16 ounces of water before I do anything else. Great. Check the box. Look at that. That's great practice. What if practicing being a healthier version of myself means I'm going to strive for 8,000 steps today? Let's see what I get. I'm going to see where I go. What if practice becomes a game? What if improving your health, what if improving yourself toward that healthier version of you is a game? Because isn't this all just kind of a game? And if we look at it as practicing each day, when we, quote, fall down or we fall off, you go, oh, well, I didn't hit that today, but that's okay. Because I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to practice again. I'm going to practice again. And tomorrow, maybe, I'm going to hit that. And that'll be great. And then when I hit that target, a couple of days, 3, 4 days, now it becomes practicing consistency. Still practicing. How many days can I do this? That's interesting. And we reflect back on it and go, that's interesting. Look at the days that I focused on my water, the days that I brought my water bottle to work with me or brought my water bottle in the car with me when I traveled, I actually hit my target. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I could use that strategy more often. Maybe I should always have a water bottle in the car with me. So see how if we take perfectionism out of it and we look at it as practice, just practicing to be a healthier version of yourself, we get to have a different perspective. We get to allow life to happen because it will. We get to allow ourselves to go ahead and fall down and skin your knee a little bit because we know we're going to get right back up. We're going to dust that thing off and we're going to go, okay, well, that didn't work, but that's okay because tomorrow I get to get back up and I get to practice again. And I get to practice and see how my practice works for me and reflect on what practices work well for me and how I can do more of that to improve myself in a lot of ways, right? It's not just, I mean, you can do this with everything in your life. It doesn't just have to be about improving your health. So we need to take that perfectionism out. Now, if we take that perfectionism out, what happens to our anxiety? Goes down. What happens to our fear? Goes down. Because we're not trying to hold ourselves to this ridiculous standard. Do we have to have standards for ourselves? Absolutely. However, in the exploration of those standards, in the practice toward that standard, we can't look at everything as it has to be perfect. Because then what happens is we beat ourselves up, we have these terrible conversations in our brains, and we fall down. And then what happens? We don't get back up. And it does become a failure until we decide to try again. So why waste all that time? Don't waste all that energy on being negative towards yourself and beating yourself up and saying, oh my gosh, I wasn't perfect. I'm going to throw everything out and the rest of the day I'm just eating cookies and drinking beer. Don't do that because you're not perfect. No one is perfect. I'm so far from perfect. My coach would tell you that. And I know I'm not. And it is something I struggle with. So I know what you're feeling. I know that anxiety. I know that fear. I know that wanting to be perfect. And then when it doesn't happen, wanting to throw everything out and being very frustrated. And in those moments, we have to remind ourselves, nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. You're just practicing. I'm just practicing every day. I'm practicing every day. I'm using my strategies and practicing. Is it working? Is it not working? What's working? What's not working? And that's really what, honestly, I love about what I do is that having that conversation with that client allows me, number one, to reflect on myself. So it's helpful for me. I learn a lot. But also, I get to help people not be perfect. I get to help people by extending that hand and saying, let me help you up. Let me help you reflect. Let's talk about what worked. Let's talk about what you're struggling with. Because ultimately, in this life, we need other people. And that has been proven time and time again. We need that support because practicing is tough. And it's tough to keep that mental thought process. It's tough to not be hard on ourselves. We always want to be hard on. We're hardest on ourselves. We all know that, right? So it might help. It might help for you to think about as you're making these changes, whether it's in your health, whether it's, in any aspect of your life. Maybe it's your job, learning new things. Maybe you're, I don't know, finding a new hobby. Oh my gosh, think about that. Think about like, oh, I'm going to pick up a guitar and be perfect right away. No, you're not. You're going to practice. Excuse me. So as you go through your day, think about things in that way. I'm just practicing this today. What strategies are working for me today? What practice is working for me today? Get reflective, get connected with yourself. Stop beating yourself up. Stop trying to be a perfectionist because there is no such thing. We are all just practitioners of these habits in our day. And life happens in those days. And life really, when life happens, it's something that we weren't predicting, that we couldn't expect, we couldn't plan for. And that's the best time to practice because it's not going to be perfect. If you need help or you want to talk about practicing instead of perfectioning everything, reach out, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, this is a podcast to help you. I come to you to talk to you about things, hopefully, that are helpful. If you would like to hear a certain topic, please drop it in the notes. Send me a message. Let me know. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, oh my gosh, LinkedIn, TikTok. I'm all over the place. Coach Laura L. I am here for you. I want to help you every single day. So get out there and just practice. Practice being the amazing person that you are every single day. See you next time.